The massive alien warship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. Inside the command center, Ambassador General Krelthar stood tall. His forearms crossed over his chest as he looked at the small blue planet on the viewing screen. This was supposed to be easy. The Valtharian Empire controlled almost half of the Milky Way galaxy. Krelthar had welcomed 37 different species into the Empire. Some joined willingly, others needed convincing. Either way, they all joined in the end. These humans were new to space travel. The Empire's scouts reported that humans only invented faster-than-light engines 50 years ago. 50 years. The Valtharians took 15,000 years to reach this level. These humans were babies in the galaxy. Send the greeting message, Krelthar ordered. His communication officer worked the controls. Message sent, Ambassador General. We should receive a response in— Response already received, sir, another officer interrupted. They replied in 3 seconds. Krelthar's eyes narrowed. That was fast, very fast. Most new species took hours to decode the standard greeting message. Some took days. What do they say? He asked. They welcome us to the Sol system. They have prepared a meeting location. A human called Commander Sarah Chen will represent Earth. Krelthar nodded. At least they understood basic diplomacy. Take us to the meeting point. The neutral meeting station floated between Earth and Mars. It was small but well built. Krelthar noticed the construction quality as his shuttle approached. The walls were smooth metal that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Strange. Commander Sarah Chen waited in the meeting room. She was smaller than Krelthar, as all humans were. She had dark hair tied back and wore a simple blue uniform. Her face showed no fear. That was interesting. Ambassador General Krelthar, Sarah said. She did not bow. Welcome to human space. Commander Chen. Krelthar sat in the large chair his staff had brought. I come with an offer from the Valtharian Empire. We expected this, Sarah said calmly. Please present your offer. Krelthar activated a holographic display. It showed the Empire's vast territory. Thousands of stars under Valtharian control glowed red on the map. The Empire offers Earth a place in galactic civilization. You will join as a vassal state. You will pay tribute. You will follow Empire laws. In exchange, you receive protection and trade access. He paused. The alternative is unfortunate. Sarah studied the map. She showed no surprise or fear. And if we refuse, then the Empire will take control of your system by force. Your species will be integrated anyway, but with far less favorable terms. Krelthar said this matter-of-factly. It was not a threat. It was simply how things worked. Sarah nodded slowly. I see, this is a significant decision. Our leaders will need time to prepare the proper response. You have 20 standard days, Krelthar said. He had planned to give 30, but something about this human's confidence bothered him. Better to keep them off balance. 20 days is acceptable, Sarah replied. We will have our answer ready. The meeting ended. Krelthar returned to his ship, feeling satisfied. The human showed more composure than most, but she would break. They always did. Sir, his sensor officer called out. We are detecting unusual readings. What kind of readings? Energy signatures. Multiple contacts. They are performing in-system jumps. Krelthar rushed to the sensor station. In-system jumps were incredibly advanced. His people had only perfected them 2,000 years ago. Creating a faster-than-light bubble inside a solar system required enormous power and precise calculations. One mistake and a ship would tear itself apart. How many contacts? He demanded. 12 ships, sir. They are moving between Saturn's orbit and Jupiter's moons. The jumps are perfect. No waste radiation. No distortion waves. Krelthar's blood ran cold. Perfect in-system jumps? The Empire's best ships still produced some distortion. It was impossible to eliminate completely. What kind of ships are they? The sensor officer checked his screen. Unknown class. They are smaller than our destroyers. Mass suggests they are patrol vessels or scouts. Patrol vessels. These humans were using technology that represented the peak of Valtharian engineering for their local traffic control. What did that mean for their actual military? Get Commander Chen on the communication channel, Krelthar ordered. Sarah's face appeared on the screen. She smiled slightly. Yes, Ambassador General? Did you forget something? Your ships, Krelthar said. The ones performing in-system jumps, explain. Sarah glanced at something off-screen. Oh, those? That's just our local defense patrol. They manage traffic around the outer planets and asteroid mining operations. Nothing special, nothing special. She called technology that took the Empire millennia to develop nothing special. How long have you had this capability? Krelthar asked carefully. In-system jumping. About 20 years now. It makes moving cargo much more efficient. Sarah tilted her head. Is there a problem? No problem, Krelthar said slowly. We will wait for your response in 20 days. He cut the communication link. His officers stared at him. Sir? His second-in-command asked quietly. What do we do? Krelthar looked at the blue planet on the screen. These humans had made more progress in 50 years than most species made in thousands. They treated advanced technology like it was ordinary, and Commander Chen showed no fear at all. What else were these humans hiding? Send a priority message to Empire Command, Krelthar said. Tell them we may need to reconsider our assessment of humanity. His communication officer hesitated. What should the message say, sir? Krelthar watched the human patrol ships dance between planets, jumping through space like it was nothing. Tell them these humans are not normal. Krelthar could not sleep. For 3 nights he lay in his quarters thinking about the human patrol ships. The more he thought about it, the more worried he became. He had conquered worlds. He had faced down warlords and pirates. But something about Commander Sarah Chen's calm smile haunted him. On the 4th day, he made a decision. Contact Commander Chen, he told his communication officer. Tell her I want to inspect Earth's defensive capabilities before the deadline. Sarah agreed immediately. Too immediately. She seemed almost pleased by the request. I would be happy to show you our facilities, Ambassador General, she said over the video link. When would you like to begin the tour? Tomorrow. Perfect. We will start with Mars. The next morning, Krelthar took a shuttle to Mars with his security team and science officers. He expected to see basic military installations, maybe some weapons platforms, perhaps a small shipyard. What he saw made his mouth go dry. The Mars orbital shipyard stretched across the planet's orbit like a metal ring. Hundreds of construction stations worked simultaneously. Each station held a ship in various stages of completion. But the size of the operation was not what shocked him. It was the speed. That dreadnought. Krelthar pointed at a massive warship near the closest station. How long has it been under construction? Sarah checked a tablet. Hull number 847? She started construction 11 weeks ago. She will be complete in 1 more week. 12 weeks? Krelthar's voice rose. That is impossible. Our shipyards take 5 years to build a dreadnought. Really? Sarah looked genuinely surprised. What takes so long? Krelthar's science officer, a thin alien named Vex, stepped forward. May I scan the hull composition? Of course, Sarah said. Vex worked his scanner for several minutes. His face grew more confused with each passing second. Finally, he turned to Krelthar. Sir, this makes no sense. The hull is 40% lighter than our standard armor. But according to these readings, it is 3 times stronger. The molecular structure is perfect. No flaws, no weak points. How? Krelthar demanded, turning to Sarah. She shrugged. Our metallurgists figured out how to align the molecular bonds at the atomic level. It took a few years of research, but the results speak for themselves. A few years of research. The Empire had been trying to improve hull strength for 2,000 years with minimal success. Let us continue the tour, Krelthar said quietly. They traveled to the asteroid belt next. Sarah explained that humans mined the asteroids for raw materials. Standard practice. But then she showed them the mining platforms. These are our kinetic defense stations, Sarah said, gesturing to structures attached to the larger asteroids. If anything hostile enters the solar system, these stations can launch projectiles. Standard mass drivers, Vex said dismissively. We have these too. Would you like to see a test fire? Sarah asked. Before Krelthar could answer, Sarah gave an order. One of the stations fired. A piece of metal the size of a ground vehicle shot into space. Vex watched his scanner. His eyes went wide. 0.7 light speed. The projectile is traveling at 0.7 light speed. Is that good? Sarah asked innocently. Good? Vex turned to Krelthar. Sir, our shields can only stop projectiles up to 0.3 light speed. This would punch through our battleships like they were paper. Oh, Sarah said. Would you like us to slow them down? We can adjust the acceleration if needed. Krelthar felt his confidence crumbling. How many of these stations do you have? In the asteroid belt? About 2,000. We also have stations around each planet. She paused. Just for defense, you understand? Just for defense. 2,000 weapons that could destroy any Empire ship before shields could even activate. I think we should see Jupiter now, Sarah said cheerfully. The Jupiter research station orbited the gas giant like a small moon. It was larger than Krelthar expected. The station had multiple rings and sections, each devoted to different research. Sarah led them to an observation deck overlooking one of the research laboratories. Inside, human scientists worked with glowing equipment that hummed with power. What are they working on? Krelthar asked. Zero-point energy extraction, Sarah said casually. We figured out how to pull energy directly from vacuum space. Still experimental, but the early results look promising. Vex made a choking sound. Zero-point energy? That is theoretical. It should not be possible. Should not be? Sarah looked at him. But it is possible. We are doing it right now. The Empire has studied zero-point energy for 10,000 years, Vex said. Our best scientists say it cannot be done. The energy requirements alone— Oh, we solved that problem last year, Sarah interrupted. It took some creative thinking, but we got there. Krelthar sat down heavily on a nearby bench. His legs felt weak. In one day, these humans had shown him technology that should not exist. Ships built in weeks instead of years. Weapons that ignored shields. Energy sources that violated established science. And according to Sarah, these were just their inner system defenses. Commander Chen, Krelthar said slowly, you said these are your inner system defenses. What does that mean? Sarah smiled that same calm smile from their first meeting. These facilities protect the area from the sun to Jupiter. Our actual military installations are in the outer system. Would you like to see those? No, Krelthar said quickly. No, that will not be necessary. He stood up and looked at Sarah, really looked at her. This human who showed no fear, who smiled while revealing technology that made the Empire's military might look primitive, who spoke of impossible achievements like they were everyday accomplishments. Commander Chen, how long have humans been building ships? Spaceships? About 150 years. Faster than light ships. 50 years, as you know. 50 years. In 50 years, humans had surpassed civilizations that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. I need to make a report to Empire Command, Krelthar said. Of course, Sarah replied. Take all the time you need. You still have 16 days before the deadline. As Krelthar returned to his ship, one thought repeated in his mind. If this was what humans accomplished in 50 years, what would they do with 500? With 5,000? The Empire had made a terrible mistake. They had not discovered a primitive species ready for integration. They had found something far more dangerous. They had found humans. 3 days after Krelthar's report reached Empire Command, a new ship arrived at Earth. This ship was different. It was black, covered in armor, and carried weapons that could destroy planets. The Empire was sending a message. High Inquisitor Velmoth stepped off his shuttle at the human meeting station. He was old even by Valtharian standards. His scales were dark gray, and his eyes held the coldness of someone who had seen too much death. He had conquered 40 species in his 200 years of service. He knew how to identify threats. Commander Sarah Chen greeted him the same way she greeted Krelthar. Calm, confident, unafraid. High Inquisitor, Sarah said with a slight bow. The Empire honors us with your presence. Skip the formalities, Velmoth said. His voice was rough like grinding stones. I read Krelthar's report. He claims you have advanced technology. I'm here to see if he exaggerates. He does not exaggerate, Sarah replied. What would you like to see first? Everything, Sarah smiled. Then we should start with Luna, our moon. Velmoth knew about moons. Most species used them for mining or storage. Some built research stations on them. He expected something similar. The shuttle approached Luna from the dark side. At first, Velmoth saw nothing unusual, just gray rock and dust. Then Sarah gave an order and everything changed. Lights blazed across the moon's surface. Massive doors opened in the ground. Entire sections of the lunar surface split apart, revealing structures hidden underneath. In seconds, the dead moon transformed into a thriving military complex. Welcome to Luna Academy, Sarah said. The shuttle descended into one of the openings. They landed in a hangar larger than most Empire military bases. Ships of various sizes filled the space, but these were not warships. They were training vessels. Sarah led Velmoth through corridors carved into the moon's interior. The entire moon was hollow. not naturally hollow but carved out by human engineering. Every chamber served a purpose. Every tunnel connected to something important. They entered an observation room overlooking a massive amphitheater. Below, hundreds of young humans sat at individual stations, their eyes focused on holographic displays. "What is this?" Velmoth asked. "Tactical simulation class," Sarah replied. "These are third-year students." Velmoth watched as the students worked through battle scenarios. The scenarios were complex. Multiple enemy forces, limited resources, no clear winning strategy. Yet the students worked through the problems methodically, making decisions quickly and confidently. One display caught Velmoth's attention. A female student with red hair was managing a scenario where she commanded 10 ships against 100 enemy vessels. The odds were impossible. Velmoth had fought enough battles to know that 10 ships could not defeat 100. The student would lose, but she did not lose. The student used the asteroid field to hide her ships. She divided the enemy fleet by sending false signals. She sacrificed 2 of her ships to draw the enemy into a trap. When the main enemy force entered the ambush zone, her remaining 8 ships struck from multiple angles. The simulation ended. The student had won with only 4 ships remaining. She had defeated an enemy with 10 times her numbers. "That scenario," Velmoth said quietly, "that is impossible. No commander could win that battle." "Cadet Morrison has a 92% success rate on the impossible scenarios," Sarah said. "She will graduate in the top 5% of her class." "Top 5%? Velmoth turned to stare at Sarah. "How many students are in her class?" "This year? About 50,000. 50,000. Velmoth felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. "How many of these academies do you have?" he asked. 27. Luna is the largest. But each academy produces between 20,000 and 50,000 strategic officers per year. The numbers overwhelmed Velmoth's mind. The Empire's finest military academy produced 5,000 officers per year, and that was considered generous. These humans were producing millions of trained tactical minds. Millions of people who could look at impossible odds and find a way to win. "I need to see your historical records," Velmoth said suddenly. Sarah looked surprised. "Our history? Why?" "I need to understand where this comes from. This way of thinking. This capability." Sarah led him to a library section of the academy. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's history. Velmoth began reading. What he found made his blood run cold. Humans had fought wars for 10,000 years. Not occasional conflicts like most species. Constant brutal wars. Wars over land. Wars over resources. Wars over ideas. Humans fought with swords. Then guns, then missiles, then nuclear weapons. They had nearly destroyed themselves multiple times, yet they always pulled back from the edge. And they always learned from their wars. Every conflict taught them new tactics, new strategies, new ways to fight. But the most terrifying thing was what Velmoth realized about human military doctrine. Every human strategy assumed the enemy was equal or superior. Humans trained to fight enemies with better technology, better numbers, better position. They had never needed to learn how to fight weaker enemies because they had never had a weaker enemy. Every war in human history pitted them against other humans. Against equals. Velmoth turned off the display. His hands shook slightly. "You do not have any experience fighting inferior forces," he said. Sarah nodded. "That is correct. Our entire military philosophy is built around fighting enemies who match or exceed our capabilities. Because you spent 10,000 years fighting. Yourselves?" "Yes." Velmoth walked to the observation window. Below, the students continued their tactical exercises. Young faces, barely adults, solving problems that would challenge the Empire's best generals. He thought about the Empire's military. The Empire conquered weaker species. They overwhelmed primitive civilizations with superior technology. Their tactics relied on being stronger, faster, better equipped than their enemies. But what happened when they faced an enemy who assumed they would be outnumbered and outgunned? An enemy who trained specifically for that scenario? "I need to contact Empire Command," Velmoth said. "Of course," Sarah replied. "Would you like privacy?" "Yes." Sarah left the room. Velmoth activated his secure communication device. The Emperor's face appeared on the screen. "High Inquisitor," the Emperor said. "Your report?" Velmoth chose his words carefully. "Your Majesty, we need to reconsider these humans. They are not like other species." "Explain." They are warriors, Your Majesty. Not soldiers, warriors. Every human is trained from birth to compete, to struggle, to overcome obstacles. And their military minds are the finest I have ever encountered. The Emperor frowned. You are saying they are dangerous? I am saying they are beyond dangerous, Velmoth replied. I am saying that if we go to war with humanity, we will lose. The Emperor did not believe Velmoth's report. Not completely. The High Inquisitor was respected, but even he could be fooled. The Empire needed proof. Request a demonstration of their military capabilities, the Emperor ordered. I want to see these humans in action. Velmoth sent the request to Commander Sarah Chen. She agreed immediately. We can arrange a demonstration, Sarah said. Something small. We would not want to alarm your forces. Small is acceptable, Velmoth replied. 2 days later, 50 Empire warships gathered near Neptune's orbit. It was a full battle group. 5 battleships, 20 cruisers, and 25 destroyers. Enough firepower to conquer most star systems. The Emperor wanted to show the humans that the Empire was still the dominant power. Admiral Krath commanded the battle group from his flagship. He was young for an admiral, only 70 years old, but he had won victories in 12 campaigns. He looked at the empty space ahead with confidence. Where are the humans? He asked. Sensors detect one contact approaching, his officer replied. Distance 50,000 kilometers. One ship? Krath laughed. They send one ship against our battle group? The human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly in front of the Empire fleet. Krath's confidence faltered. The ship was small, maybe 1/10 the size of his battleships. It looked fragile, like a toy. Receiving communication from the human vessel, his officer said. Commander Sarah Chen's face appeared on the screen. She was not on the small ship. She watched from a safe distance on a command station. Good morning, Admiral Krath, Sarah said pleasantly. This is the UESS Indomitable. She will perform the demonstration today. That tiny ship? Krath could not hide his disbelief. What can it possibly demonstrate? Watch and see, Sarah replied. The space around Neptune suddenly filled with objects. Thousands of combat drones appeared, forming defensive formations. They matched the size and energy signature of Empire warships. Krath's tactical officer counted them quickly. 1,000 drones, sir. They are configured to simulate our battle group composition. So the humans want to show us how they fight, Krath said. He leaned back in his chair. This should be entertaining. The human ship, the Indomitable, moved forward. It accelerated to attack speed. Krath expected conventional tactics. The small ship would try to use its size advantage to avoid fire, while picking off drones one by one. It would take hours, maybe days. What happened next made Krath's mouth fall open. The Indomitable moved in ways that should have been impossible. It turned 90 degrees while traveling at 0.4 light speed. No ship could do that. The forces would tear it apart. Yet the human ship did it easily, like it was nothing. Weapons fire erupted from the Indomitable. But these were not normal weapons. The beams curved. They bent around obstacles to hit targets hiding behind other drones. The ship fired in all directions simultaneously, hitting 12 drones at once. Then the ship did something even more impossible. It jumped. Not a long-distance faster-than-light jump, but a micro-jump. The ship vanished and reappeared 300 kilometers away, already firing at new targets. How? Krath started to ask. Combat jump capability, Velmoth said quietly from beside him. We theorized it was possible, but the calculations required are too complex. A computer would need to process the jump while in combat, accounting for moving targets, changing positions, weapon trajectories. Their computers can do this? Krath asked. Apparently, yes. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 47 seconds. The Indomitable destroyed all 1,000 drones without taking a single hit. The small human ship sat motionless in space, weapons cooling down, completely undamaged. Krath's tactical officer ran the numbers. His face went pale. Sir, the officer said, those drones were configured to match our fleet capabilities. That means one human destroyer just eliminated what would equal an Empire battle group. Krath finished. He looked at the 50 ships under his command. 50 ships that could be destroyed by one small human vessel in less than a minute. Admiral Krath contacted Commander Chen. That ship, how old is it? The Indomitable? Sarah checked her records. She is 15 years old. A training vessel, actually. We use her to teach new pilots combat maneuvers. A training vessel, Krath repeated numbly. Yes. Would you like to see one of our modern destroyers? The newer models are much faster. No, Krath said quickly. That will not be necessary. How many destroyers does humanity have? Sarah paused as if considering whether to answer. Finally she spoke. 400 in active service, plus another 200 in reserve. Velmoth did the calculation in his head. 600 destroyers, each one capable of destroying 50 Empire ships. That meant the human destroyer fleet alone could eliminate 30,000 Empire vessels. The Empire's entire military consisted of 90,000 ships. What about larger ships? Velmoth asked. Dreadnoughts. Capital ships. We have 2,000 dreadnoughts, Sarah said casually, 500 carriers, and approximately 50,000 support vessels. Frigates, corvettes, supply ships, medical vessels. The numbers broke something in Krath's mind. 50,000 ships. The Empire spread their 90,000 ships across 10,000 star systems. Most systems had fewer than 10 ships for defense. The humans could field 50,000 ships, and they apparently had them concentrated in one solar system. Where are these ships now? Velmoth asked. Various locations, Sarah replied. Some in dock for maintenance, some on patrol, some conducting training exercises. Krath's sensor officer suddenly called out. Sir, multiple contacts emerging from faster than light. Distance 200,000 kilometers. How many contacts? Krath demanded. The officer's voice shook. 10,000 contacts, sir. It is an entire fleet. On the view screen, space filled with human warships. They appeared simultaneously in perfect formation. 10,000 ships arranged in battle groups, all facing the Empire's 50-vessel force. That is Second Fleet, Sarah explained. They are returning from training exercises in Alpha Centauri. Please do not be alarmed. They are just passing through. Just passing through. 10,000 warships just passing through like it was nothing. Commander Chen, Velmoth said slowly. Where is First Fleet? Sarah smiled. That same calm, confident smile. First Fleet's location is classified, High Inquisitor. But I can tell you that Third Fleet is stationed in the Oort Cloud. Fourth Fleet guards our colony systems. Fifth Fleet provides merchant escort services. Sixth Fleet conducts deep space exploration. And Seventh Fleet is currently upgrading at Mars shipyards. Velmoth felt the weight of understanding crush down on him. The humans had not shown their full strength. They had shown a fraction of their capability. One destroyer, one fleet passing by, and it was enough to make the Empire's battle group look insignificant. The demonstration is complete, Sarah said. Thank you for your time, Admiral Krath. High Inquisitor Velmoth, I hope this answered your questions. The transmission ended. Krath sat in his command chair, staring at the 10,000 human ships. They were not threatening. They simply existed, vast and powerful, a reminder that humanity could end the Empire whenever they chose. Send a message to the Emperor, Velmoth said. Tell him we accept whatever terms the humans offer. The Grand Council chamber on the Valtharian homeworld had never been so full. 500 species representatives crowded into the massive hall. Everyone wanted to be present for the most important decision in Empire history. The Emperor sat on his throne at the center of the chamber. He looked older than usual. The reports from Sol System had aged him. He raised one hand for silence. We are here to decide humanity's fate, the Emperor said. High Inquisitor Velmoth will present his findings. Velmoth stepped forward. He had spent the journey home preparing his speech. Every word mattered now. I have observed humanity directly, Velmoth began. I have seen their technology, their training, and their military capability. I tell you now, without doubt, that humanity is the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives shouted over each other. One species cannot threaten the entire empire. Someone yelled, We have 90,000 ships. Another called out, We should strike now before they grow stronger. A third voice demanded. The Emperor raised his hand again. Silence fell. Explain, High Inquisitor. The Emperor commanded. Velmoth activated a holographic display. It showed the Empire's territory in red and the human solar system as a tiny blue dot. We have 90,000 warships, Velmoth said. Humanity has approximately 70,000 warships. The difference seems small. Then we have the advantage, the War Minister said. No, Velmoth replied. We do not. Our 90,000 ships are spread across 10,000 star systems. Most systems have fewer than 10 ships. We cannot move them without leaving our territory undefended. He changed the display. The numbers appeared in the air. If we pull ships from our borders to attack humanity, we would need to withdraw from 75% of our territory. This would trigger rebellions. Our economy would collapse. Our enemies would invade our weakened borders. So we use the ships we have, the War Minister argued. 25% of our fleet is still 20,000 ships. Against 70,000 human ships? Velmoth shook his head. Their technology is superior. One human destroyer equals 50 of our vessels. Their dreadnoughts are even more powerful. We would be fighting a war we cannot win. The chamber fell silent. The representatives looked at each other nervously. Then what do you suggest? The Emperor asked. I suggest we accept the human proposal, Velmoth said. What proposal? Velmoth activated a new display. It showed a document that arrived from Commander Chen 2 days earlier. Commander Chen offers a mutual defense treaty. Humanity will share certain technologies with the Empire. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, water purification systems, things that will help our citizens but not compromise our security. And what do they want in return? The Emperor asked. Most favored trade partner status, access to Empire markets, a non-aggression pact lasting 500 years. And one more thing. What thing? They want the Empire to remain strong, Velmoth said. They want us to continue protecting the galaxy from threats. They see us as stabilizing force, not an enemy. The War Minister stood up. This is a trick. They want to weaken us, make us dependent on their technology. Perhaps, Velmoth agreed. Or perhaps they genuinely do not want to fight a war that would kill billions on both sides. Commander Chen told me something during my visit. She said the best victory is the one you never have to fight. The Emperor leaned back on his throne. He was silent for a long time. Finally he spoke. We accept the human proposal. Send word to Commander Chen. The Empire agrees to all terms. The chamber erupted again, but this time the Emperor did not call for silence. He simply stood and walked out. The decision was made. 2 days later, Ambassador General Krelthar stood with Commander Sarah Chen on the observation deck of the neutral station. They watched the signing ceremony on the view screen below. Human and Valtharian diplomats put their names to the treaty. You must be pleased, Krelthar said. You won without firing a shot. Sarah smiled. Nobody won, Ambassador General. Both our peoples avoided a terrible war. That is not victory. That is wisdom. Krelthar turned to face her. May I ask you something? In private? Of course, Krelthar looked around. They were alone on the observation deck. He lowered his voice. First Fleet, the one you never showed us. How powerful is it? Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. It was a genuine warm laugh. First Fleet does not exist, she said. Never did. We have 3 fleets. Second, third, and fourth. That is all. Krelthar stared at her. You lied? I never lied. I never said First Fleet existed. You assumed it did. Sarah walked to the window. Tell me, Ambassador General, when you reported back to your Emperor, what scared him more? The ships we showed you or the ships we did not show you? Krelthar understood. The unknown. The possibility that we had not seen your full strength. Exactly. We showed you overwhelming force. That was real. But we also left room for doubt. For imagination. Your Emperor had to consider that we might have even more ships, even better weapons, even greater capability. Strategic deception, Krelthar said. Strategic uncertainty, Sarah corrected. The fleet that is not deployed yet is the one you imagine in your mind, and that fleet is always more frightening than reality. Krelthar felt something strange. Respect. Genuine respect for this human commander. You are dangerous, he said, not because of your weapons, because of your mind. Thank you, Sarah replied. That is the highest compliment a warrior can receive. They stood in silence watching the ceremony. The treaty was signed. Peace was secured. What will you do now? Krelthar asked. Now? We continue building, learning, exploring. Humanity has only been in space for 50 years. We have a lot to discover. And the Empire? The Empire will remain the Empire, strong, stable, protecting the galaxy. And we will be your allies, not your enemies. Krelthar nodded slowly. Then he smiled. You know, Commander Chen, 50 years from now I would like to see what humanity has become. 50 years from now you should visit Luna Academy, Sarah said. I think you would be impressed. They shook hands, human and Valtharian. sealing not just a treaty but the beginning of something new. Years later, historians would look back on this moment as the turning point in galactic civilization, the day the Valtharian Empire learned that strength alone does not guarantee victory, the day humanity taught the galaxy that the greatest weapon is not the one you use, but the one you never need to use. And deep in the Mars shipyards, hidden from all sensors, the real First Fleet was being built, ship by ship, weapon by weapon. Just in case peace did not last, Commander Sarah Chen had learned from human history. Hope for peace, prepare for war, and never show all your cards. The galaxy would learn this lesson too. Some would learn it through friendship. Others would learn it the hard way. But they would all learn. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and nothing would ever be the same.